LOZ. It's LOZ.
Kahaan.
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 It's LOZ.
Kahaan.
It's LOZ. Kahaan.
The water, Abba. The water, Abba. The water, Abba.
I'm going home to Zion. My home is Jerusalem. I'm going home to Zion. My home is Jerusalem.
We going through hell in this concrete jungle. If you want me to slip, then be ready to rumble. Edom is the end of the world, he ain't clean. The grass is greener on the other side, you know what I mean. You gotta praise Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. We Israelites, all praises to the Most High. Keep them laws and the commandments, you might be qualified. 100,000, 44,000 gon' make it on that ride to the kingdom. That's what we all live for. It must be in your mental, flow through your temple. Even though we sin, y'all still took us in though. Y'all's chosen people, the heathens not equal. Esau's evil, enslaved all our people through mass genocide, pagan tradition, religion. I'm irritated, ready for his annihilation. So patience, a Mashiach could come for the awakening.
I'm going home to Zion. My home is Jerusalem. I'm going home to Zion.
Adiam Wapanya, Jerusalem, stand and face Jerusalem. Mashiach Spelal, the Lord's Prayer. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kwadash, Haya, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakbatka, Taba'a, Ratazaka, Haya, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Haya, Bashemayim, Latan Lanawa, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalak Nawa, Kabawak Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kabawak Yanawa, Wala'a, Tabaya Anawa, Banasayawan, Abal, Hawashai Nawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahatapa Ara, La'awalamyam, Ba'asham, Hamashiach, Yahushai, the water, Aman.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 6 and verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. For if ye forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if ye forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. By Hashem Mashiach Yahushai, the water, the yard, Amen.
Amen. Yashabian, be seated. Shabbat Shalom Yasharala.
Shabbat Shalom, Shalom.
All praise to the Most High by Shamash Gavashai, power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We are TheeLoz of Zion, located down here in South Florida, Broad Boulevard, 2937 Broad Boulevard, West Broad Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale. I am Elder Bishop Lapalal, to my left.
Officer Aliyah.
Khan. And we are about to bring the Most High's word to you on the Shabbat day. But the Most High deemed that all Israel should come together in holy convocation as per the covenant that he made it with our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, okay, all right.
Could you bring a bottle of water, please? Out. Baba Kusha.
Right, so we're going to start off, we're going to rather continue in the book of 1 Kings, chapter 6. Okay? This is putting things in the historical perspective of our coming out of Egypt and our sojourning in the wilderness and going into the land that the Most High gave to our forefathers and getting ourselves established in the land that previously belonged to the Canaanites. 1 Kings chapter 6.
You want to open up with a good old traditional Colossians?
Colossians 3 verse 17, Khan.
This is the book of Colossians, chapter 3 and verse 17. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of a Mashiach Yahushai, giving thanks to God and the Father by him.
Right. Whatever you do with word or deed, make sure they're in consistency, in accordance to the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments, and in consistency with the Mashiach Yahushai's teaching. Okay? Get 1 Kings chapter 6 verse 1.
Okay. This is the book of 1 Kings chapter 6 and verse 1. And it came to pass in the 418th year after the children
Read it again.
And it came to pass.
Make sure you pronounce the word correctly.
In the 480th
80th
year after the children of Israel were come out of the land of Egypt.
Right, so it came to pass. So this is the put things in the timeline, in the proper timeline, the proper perspective, timeline wise. What era of time we're talking about? And it came to pass in the 480th year after the children of Israel were come out of the land of Egypt. So this is like we're right now in time we're 480 years after we came out of Egypt. Mm-hmm. Understand? So when did we come out of Egypt? Get Exodus 12 verse 40. Yeah, this era of time that we are referencing right now is 480 years after we came out of Egypt. In the book of Kings, right? During the time of Solomon, after David, 480 years after we came out of Egypt. So we came out of Egypt in the wilderness. Understand? We passed down the era of the book of the Judges. Now in the era where the kings, we have a rulership system by by kings, not judges anymore. Read on.
This,
Exodus 12, verse 40.
this is the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 40.
Mm-hmm.
Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years.
Right, so what does that mean? Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. What does that mean? The sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. It meant that we dwelt in Egypt for 430 years. Understand? We went into Egypt in 1880 BC, approximately. Understand? So if we stayed there, that was BC, 1880 BC. So if you stayed there for 430 years, so if you subtract 430 from that, what do you get? 1450. So that's when we left Egypt. Just about 1450 BC. 1,450 years before the Mashiach Yahushai was sent by the Mosai to redeem Israel back to him. He came out of Egypt in 1450 BC. All right, go back. We want to continue. I'll read on verse 41.
Verse 41. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the self same day it came to pass, that all the hosts of the Most High went out from the land of Egypt.
All the hosts of the Most High went out of the land of Egypt. And the host of the Most High was who? The Israelites. We went out of the land of Egypt. Read on.
Verse 42. It is a night to be much observed unto the Most High for bringing them out from the land of Egypt. This is the night that of the Lord to be observed of all the children of Israel in their generations.
Right. So it is a night to be much observed unto the Most High for bringing them out from the land of Egypt. Egypt. This is that night of the Most High to be observed of all the children of Israel in their generations. Understand? The Most High said we should observe this in all our generations. There's an S in that. We are in that. We are in one of those generations. The Most High didn't say you should observe that for a certain number of generations. He said what? Observe of all the children of Israel in their generations. Meaning what? Wherever we happen to be, whatever era of time, we should observe that in all our generations, not for one day, not for one generation, or for two, or for three. But you know the old saying, you got to know where you're coming from to know where you're going. You can't forget where you're coming from. So we gotta remember where we're coming from to know who we are and where we're going in the future. Even the scripture tells us that this is not going to be on Jeremiah. Hold on. Jeremiah 16, Jeremiah 30. Hold on a second. Let me get it. It's amazing though. Started off in Kings, I went to Exodus, I'm going to Jeremiah. But that's what Moses said. What precept upon precept, so we can get a proper understanding of what the Most High want us to know. Hold on a second.
What is it that you're looking for?
No more shall it be said that the children of Israel, I think it's 16 to 14. Jeremiah 16 to 14.
Yes, that's 14.
16 to 14?
Time.
Okay.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 16 and verse 14. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Most High.
Right. See that? This prophecy was made during the time of Jeremiah the prophet. And you know, Jeremiah the prophet existed during what time? During what era of time? During the time of the Babylonians. And we're talking about 600 BC. Around that time. Therefore, behold, read on.
Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the
The
Most
days
High.
come. Meaning what? In the future. Read on.
That it shall no more be said.
It shall in the future it shall no more be said. Read on.
The Most High liveth.
The Most High liveth. Read on.
That brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt.
Right, because even in the time of the Babylonians, which was like 600 BC, we just read that we came out of Egypt. We went to Egypt in 1880 BC. We stayed there for 430 years, which means we came out 1450 BC. And right now this time of Jeremiah was 600 BC. That was like 800 years, a rough estimate of the math. You know what I'm saying? We were still talking about that. Even today, we're still talking about that. Even in recent years, they're making movies about that. But the Most High said, in years to come, it shall no more be said. Read on. Read from the top again, verse 14.
Verse 14. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Most
There's
High.
going to be a day. Read on.
That it shall no more be said.
Being going to say that no more. Read on.
The Most High liveth. That brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt.
Because that's what we're talking about right now. Those all our forefathers talked about back in the days. Or the Most High, that was so dramatic. Or the Most High parted the Red Sea. And the Israelites walked through the Red Sea on dry land. And then drowned the Egyptians. That was the talk of the town. From that time on up until now. But the Most High said what? In the future, there's going to be something so much more dramatic that's going to overshadow that. We ain't going to be talking about that anymore. Read on.
But the Most High liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north.
But, we ain't going to be talking about that anymore. But, this is what we're going to be talking about now. The Most High liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north. Where is the land of the north? North America. Understand? And not just North America, but the four corners of the earth, because we were scattered through the four corners of the earth, right? And wherever the Most High scattered us is going to gather us from. Read on.
And from all the lands whither he had driven them.
And from the lands where he had driven them, which is all over the world, globally. So the Most High is going to gather us from all the lands we were driven to. Read on.
And I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers.
And I will bring them again to the land that he gave unto their fathers. That's what the Most High is saying. We ain't going to be talking about how the Most High brought us out of the land of Egypt anymore. But we're going to be talking about how the Most High brought us from America, the islands, the continents, all over the world, and how he brought us to the land that he gave to our forefathers. And what land did he give to our forefathers? Land of Canaan, which became the land of Israel. It's not Ethiopia. It's not Africa. Even though we live in those different parts of the world, that's not land the Most High gave to our forefathers. He gave the land of our forefathers what? The land of Canaan. And that's a land, there's not going to be a New Jerusalem. New Jerusalem is the same old Jerusalem being refurbished, being recultivated. Understand? Reanalyzed, revigorated, rejuvenated. It's not a different place. Read. Is there more?
Yes. Well, 16. Verse 16. Behold, I will send for many fishers.
No, it's okay.
That's okay?
That's okay.
Okay.
Now go back to
Exodus
Now go back
or
to
First Kings?
go back to First Kings.
Okay.
You got a question?
Yeah. On Revelation 21 and 2, when he says, I saw a holy city, New Jerusalem. So you're saying that it's like when we refurbish Jerusalem, is that what he's saying? Like,
Right. See, what a New Jerusalem doesn't mean it's it's a new place, because philosophy, the doctrine that Rastafarians try to misconstrue that to me, that it's talking about. It's not talking about the land of Israel anymore. It's talking about Ethiopia or someplace else, but it's not. It's talking about what land the Most I give to our forefathers. It wasn't in the land, but the land of Israel. Understand? When it says New Jerusalem, it's meaning that it's gonna build up the old place, build up the walls of Jerusalem. It's not talking about any other place but beside where the Most High brought us. Go. You got a question? Ask a question. We clarify that.
It says, on the second, it says, and I judged the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from the Most High out of heaven.
Want to get that?
Is that
You know that's talking about that's metaphors and similes, right? You know that doesn't mean a city literally coming up from heaven. It doesn't mean it's literally coming up from heaven. How can a city come down literally from heaven?
A building, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It means it's righteousness. You mean right? You know what I'm saying? The old place being built up in righteousness. Yeah, go ahead.
Is he saying that that the city talking about the city, the kingdom being built up in righteousness and instruction from the Most High?
Right. That's what they're talking about. It's not how can a city be coming down literally meaning what? Word for word come down. When you look up, you see a city coming down. It's not, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It means that it's coming down from the old city on earth.
the reason I say that
No, go.
was there was a scripture where Wayne House, I say, I will go and build
A place for you?
a new place for you. I thought that's what it meant by on Revelation when it said, I will
I'm going to prepare. He said, I'm going to prepare. I think that's the word he used.
Give me Isaiah 60 and 10. It's all right.
This is the.
Even though we started 1 Kings chapter 6,
Hallelujah.
if we never finish that chapter, it's all right. As long as we've been edified, as long as we go all over the place,
Okay.
I will learn it. That's the key.
Hallelujah.
Isaiah 60 verse 10.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 60 and verse 10. And the sons of the strangers should build up thy walls, and their
Go on.
kings.
See that? Hold on, let me hold on a second. Let me get there. Go ahead, verse 60, verse 10.
Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 10. And the sons of the strangers shall build up thy walls.
Now, who are the sons of the strangers? The other nations. They shall build up our walls. What does that mean? They're going to be building our just like we build up their kingdom in slavery. When the tables got turned and we are rulership, they're going to be building up our walls. Can you imagine some of the strangers being up in heaven with the Most High? No. It's going to be down here on earth. They're going to be building up our walls right here on earth. The old Jerusalem that got demolished, got abandoned. You know what I'm saying? They're going to build it up. Read on.
And their kings shall minister unto thee,
And the kings, all the nobles, men of rulership, of honor in their established in their kingdom, they shall administer unto us. They're going to be serving us. We are the chosen people of the Most High. Right now it doesn't look that way because of our disobedience. Once the Most High forgive us of our this transgression and our disobedience and put us back in the position of rulership, the kings and nobles of the other nations are going to build up our walls. Read on.
And their kings shall minister unto thee, for in my wrath I smote thee.
For in the Most High's wrath he smote us, man. What's the Most High's wrath? Anger. The Most High gave us so much and we took it for granted. Was you know what I'm saying? Disobedient to the Most High, ungrateful to the Most High. The Most High was angry for that, so he smote us for that. Just like the father was smart as child, you provide so much for your children, and they went off. Of course, you're upset with that. And to correct your child and your children, you know what I mean? You spank them or whatever. That's what the Most High. That's what the Most High did to us. Read on.
For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee.
In his what? Favor. What does it mean to have favor? In his favor. That's a key word right there. When someone favors you, what does it mean? He prefers you above others. That's a favor. In his favor. Read it again. Read it. Please again.
Isaiah 60:10. And the sons of the stranger shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee.
In his favor has he had mercy on us. In his favor. When someone favors you, what does it mean? They prefer you above all others. Just like it says in Deuteronomy 7:6. Go get that, Deuteronomy 7:6.
I know that one by heart.
Then we got to get Romans 9.
Romans 9.
Yeah. Or 11. One of them. Paul.
What's saying a week?
Get Deuteronomy 7 first.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6. For thou art an holy people.
The Most High says what? We are a holy people. Why are we holy? Because the Most High's people. We got the laws, statutes, and commandments which separates us from the other nations because they haven't got that. They haven't got that. We got it. That's why we are holy. That's why we're separate and apart from the other nations. But we weren't appreciative of that. We wanted to be, instead of want to be holy and separate from, you want to be just like the other nations. That's why the Most High was so wrath with us. Read on.
For thou art an holy people unto the Most High thy power. The Most High thy power have chosen thee.
What chosen? When you are chosen, what does it mean? There's a variety of options available to someone. And they say what? You know what? No. I want that one. Understand? We were among options available to the Most High, and he chose us, the Hebrew Israelites, above all other nations on this earth. Read on.
The Most High thy power have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth. We are the only ones who don't know that we are above all people on the face of the earth. The other nations know it because they search things out. That's why they go out of their way to persecute us and try to make sure that we don't recognize that, we don't know that. Because the moment we know that and realize that and wake up, that's the end of their rulership. They will expend all kind of energy and monies to deny us of that knowledge. That's why even in slavery, they didn't want us to read, man. even to this very day, they make education so far from our reach, so unattainable. So you know what I'm saying? So we don't know that. That's why they have what? Separation of church and state. That's why they have separation of church and state, because if you were church and state, and if you are if you are able to read in the school and the colleges and all that, we'd have woken up a long time ago. And that would have been their room. It's not a coincidence that they chose to have a separation of church and state. They did that to deny us access to the truth, so we can have knowledge of self and know who we are and be woken up, which will be to their detriment, to the end of their rulership. Understand? So everything they do is our plan, man. It's no coincidence that all this is happening. Is there more?
That was it on that. You want
Give me Romans 11.
What? Okay, 11.
Romans 11 and 1.
11 and 1. Mm-hmm. Romans chapter 11. I say then, hath God cast away his people?
Right. Did the Most High cast away his people?
Most High forbid.
No, the Most High forbid. Most High didn't cast away his people. Who are the Most High's people? We are the Most High's people. Even though we are in captivity. Read on.
For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham.
That's Paul talking right there. He's also an Israelite of, read on.
Of the seed of Abraham.
Of the seed of Abraham.
Of the tribe of Benjamin.
Of the tribe of Benjamin. He knew what lineage he came from. Came from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Even knew what son of Jacob he came out of. So back then our people knew. Read on.
Verse 2. The Most High hath not cast Salakia. The Most High hath not cast away his people which he foreknew. Mm-hmm. Wote ye not what the scriptures say?
Right. The Most High didn't cast away his people that they foreknew. Read on.
Wote ye not what the scriptures saith of Elias?
Right. Don't you know what the scripture said of Elias? Read on.
How he maketh increations of the Most High.
Read it again, huh?
How he maketh intersections.
Right.
To the Most High of Israel, saying, Lord, they have killed thy prophets and dig down thy altars. Right.
That's what Elijah thought. He said, Lord, they killed all your prophets and dig down all your altars. And I'm the only one left. Read on.
And I am left alone, and they seek my life. But what saith the answer of the Most High unto him? Mm-hmm. I have reserved to myself 7,000 men.
You know what the Most High said? He hath reserved. The Most High said he hath reserved unto himself 7,000 men. And the word 7 is a completion. The word 7 is not literal. The word 7 could mean millions. Only 44,000. You know what I'm saying? I have reserved unto himself. So the Most High got people that reserved unto himself. And right now, coming to this truth, keeping the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments, consider yourself to be reserved. Don't take it for granted that you're called, because we know we gotta end. We're not like Christian talk about we're saved. We know we have to endure to the end. Understand? We're not like that Christian talk about we're saved. No, we're not saved. We're not saved until we make it into the kingdom. It's a long distance race. We have to endure to the end. But consider yourself that you're reserved by the Most High. You're not cast away. That's not all the Israelites are cast away. No, we're not cast away. We're still here. Mm-hmm. And the Most High, we're not cast away. Finish that and get Jeremiah 31, 35. You know.
who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal.
See that? Who hath not, the Most High said, he hath reserved unto himself 7,000 Israelites, who hath not bowed the knees to the image of Baal. We haven't bowed our knees to the image of Baal, man. We don't worship no damn Caesar Borgia. We don't keep no damn Christmas, no New Year's Day, July 4th, no Easter, Memorial Day. All those days that the so-called white men and the other nations have set up to get our people consumed and gravitated to. We don't do that. We don't bow to that. We are Hebrew Israelites. We keep the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. The Most High has reserved unto himself 7,000 men. And the word 7,000 is not literal. It's millions. It's 144,000. 144,000, that's the government. And in addition to the government, then they have the population, the general population of Israel, which consists of men, women, and children. And we haven't bowed our knees to the image of Baal. Baal means anyone that's contrary to the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. Wait, is there more?
That's it on that.
All right, now get me, now get me Jeremiah 31, 35.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 31, verse 35. Thus saith the Most High, which giveth the sun for a light by day.
Right, because they said, this is what Israel is done away with. That's why that's not everybody can be Israelite now, because the seed of Israel is done away with. Read that again, huh?
Jeremiah.
Let's see if that's the case.
Jeremiah 31 and verse 35.
Mm-hmm.
Thus saith the Most High.
This is the Most High saying this, not me, or you, or anybody else. The Most High is saying this from his own mouth. Read on.
Which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night.
So the Most High gave all those ordinances: the sun for light by day, the ordinances of the moon, and the stars by night. The Most High gave all those ordinances. You know what? The Most High is the creator. Read on.
Which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar.
Right. Which divided the sea when the waves thereof roar. Meaning what? The Most High divided the sea from the land. So the Most High put like a border line between the sea and the land. So the waves of the sea, even when it roars, unless the Most High going to send a tsunami or something like that, the waves of the land always go to a certain border and then go to the beach where the sand is, and it goes right back in the water. Mm-hmm. The Most High divide. The Most High set that division right there. Read on.
The Lord of hosts is his name.
The Most High Yahweh is his name. Read on.
If those ordinances depart from before me, saith the Most High.
If those ordinances, what are those ordinances?
The sun and the moon.
What's an ordinance, by the way? An ordinance is like a law, man. Like a governance, a statutes, a set, a set way of doing things. If those ordinances, like the sun, moon, and stars, depart from the Most High, read on. If those ordinances, read on.
If those ordinances depart from before me, saith the Most High, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever.
Right. So if the sun, moon, and stars depart from the Most High, if the seas, the beach, if all those things depart from the Most High, then we no longer exist. Look around you. When you go outside tonight, on the date tomorrow, look tomorrow morning when you go. Look and see if you see the sun. It's summer right now. You're sweating like I'm saying. Yeah. When I go outside in the summer, I'm sweating, man. I gotta get some AC, man. You know what I'm saying? in the nighttime, look up and see the sun, the stars and the moon. If those ordinances depart from you, then you know we're no longer here. What you got, bro?
Precept 4, verse 34, where it's talking about, verse 35, where it's talking about the Most High giveth us the sun.
What you got?
It's Isaiah 60 and 19.
60 and 19? Read it.
Okay.
Let them read it.
All right, Isaiah 60 and 19. The sun shall be no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee. But the Most High shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy power thy glory.
Okay, see, that's kind of that's speaking like that's saying right there. It's not exactly the same thing. That's what's that saying is that right now the sun, moon, and stars just like a physical light. Understand? But what I like that's talking about is like a guidance. The Most High, the Most High, the Mashiach Yahushua is gonna be that light for us now. Understand? That's what I was talking about. Go back to Jeremiah.
Okay. We just finished 36.
All right. Go back to where were we at?
Kings.
Go back to First Kings. We're still looking for the Kings for a long time.
All right. I think I'm still on 1.
What?
I think I'm still on verse 1.
Start from verse 1 again.
Come. First Kings chapter 6 and verse 1. And it came to pass in the 480th year after the children of Israel were come out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month of Ziph.
Right, see, it came to pass in the 480th year after the children of Israel were come out of Egypt. In the see that 480 years after we came out of Egypt. We came out of Egypt in 14. We went in 1880. We stayed there for 430 years. So which means we came out. We came out in 1450. And this era of time we're referring to is 480 years after. So subtract 480 years, 480. Subtract 480 from 1450. Who's got a calculator? Do the math on that. So we can know exactly what era of time we're referring to right now. We came out of Egypt in 1450. Right? Right. And this era of time that we're referencing right now is 480 years after we came out of Egypt. We got 970? So it's 970 BC. Okay, so it's 970 BC. All right, so we're on 970 BC.
In the 4th year of Solomon's reign,
that is correct. Right, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign. Read on.
That he began to build the house of the Most High.
So Solomon started building the temple of the Most High when? 970 BC. 480 years after we came out of Egypt. Read on.
And the house which King Solomon built for the Lord, the Most High, the length thereof was 80 cubits, and the breadth thereof 80 cubits, and the breadth thereof 20 cubits, and the height thereof 30 cubits. And the porch before the temple of the house, 20 cubits was the length thereof, according to the breadth of the house, and 10 cubits was the breadth thereof before the house. Verse 4. And for the house he made windows of narrow lights. And against the wall of the house he built chambers round about. Against the walls of the house round about, both of the temple and of the oracle. And he made chambers round about. The nethermost chamber was 5 cubits broad. The middle was 6 cubits broad. The third was 7 cubits broad. For without in the wall of the house he made narrowed rests round about, that the beams should not be fastened in the walls of the house. Verse 7. And the house, when it was built of stone made ready before it was brought thither, so that there was neither hammer nor axe, nor any tool of iron heard in the house while it was in building.
Right, so this is basically giving the measurement, the dimensions, the width, breadth, and height of the house. Understand that the temple, it tells you that the stones were basically measured and cut prior to being brought to the location where they're being constructed, where the house was being, where the temple most was being constructed. So there wasn't any hammering and all that. Everything was cut to precision because everything was measured according to the measurement that the Most High gave to Solomon, to give to the carpenters, the masons, and all that, the craftsmen who were skilled in architecture and construction, as we know today. Read on.
Verse 8. The door for the middle chamber was in the right side of the house, and they went up with winding stairs into the middle chamber, and out of the middle into the third. So he built the house and finished it, and covered the house with beams and boards of cedar. And then he built chambers against all the house, 5 cubits high, and they restored on and they rested on the house with timber of cedar.
Right, the cedar, man, that's a strong. The cedar was I don't know if anyone is familiar with cedar. Cedar wood, you got certain wood, oak wood, cedar, and all that. Very strong. But a cedar got a very strong scent to it. I'm familiar with cedar from Jamaica. It's got a very strong scent to it, but it's a very strong wood. They're talking about durable wood. You know what I'm saying? You got cement and brick and mortar and all that's very strong, but there's certain woods that are very strong also. It's not that's wood that can last for years, hundreds of years. It's not gonna rot over years to come. Just like I see those certain trees, you see those trees, they stand there for a long time. Those trees they never fade away. They just stand there for a long time. They just take root. The same thing with the wood that comes from those trees, man. Like cedar and oak and all that. Yeah. You got it up there? Cedar right there?
The cedar tree.
Yeah, okay. It's very strong.
They're very tall, too.
Yeah. Right. Read on.
Verse 11. 1 Kings chapter 6 and verse 11. And the word of the Most High came to Solomon, saying, concerning this house which thou art in building, if thou wilt walk in my statutes, and execute my judgments, and keep all my commandments to walk in them, then will I perform my word with thee, which I spake unto David thy father. And I will dwell among the children of Israel, and I will not forsake my people Israel.
See, the Most High, when the Most High deals with you, it's according to like a contract, it's an agreement. The Most High is not giving you something for nothing. Even though He chose us as a nation, but the Most High said, if, it's always stipulated, it's always in a conditional. If you will walk in His ways. He built me this house, but if you will walk in my ways, according to the laws, statutes, and commandments, then I will never forsake you. I will always be with you. See, that's agreement that the Most High made with our fathers way back when, even to this day. we have to keep our end of the bargain. Read on.
Verse 14. So Solomon built the house and finished it. And he built the walls of the house within with boards of cedar, both the floor of the house and the walls of the ceiling. And he covered them on the side with wood.
On the inside.
On the inside with wood. And covered the floor of the house with planks of fir. And he built 20 cubits on the sides of the house, both the floor and the walls with boards of cedar. He even built them for it within, even for the oracle, even for the most holy place. And the house that is the temple before it was 40 cubits long. And the cedar of the house within was covered with knobs and open flowers. All was cedar. There was no stone seen.
Right, so the Most High prophet, the Most High prophet is cedar. Cedar with a strong wood. And a strong scent to it, but it's very firm. It's not a wood that was going to rot or decay in years, but was going to very durable. Go ahead,
Even when you buy certain furniture, if it's made of cedar wood, it's usually more expensive.
Come on. Yeah, because it's going to last. It's going to last. It's not. You're not going to find it falling apart and all that. It's going to last for a long time. Come on. Yeah, because they all know that. You know.
Verse 19. And the oracle he's prepared in the house within, to set the ark of the covenant of the Most High. Verse 20. And the oracle in the forepart was 20 cubits in length, and 20 cubits in breadth, and 20 cubits in height thereof. And he overlaid it.
Like in verse 19 said, and the oracle he prepared in the house within. The oracle that's where to set there the ark of the covenant of the Most High. So the oracle was where the ark of the covenant is going to be set, and that's going to give it the dimension of the oracle. Read on, verse 20.
Verse 20. And the oracle in the forepart was 20 cubits in length, and 20 cubits in breadth, and 20 cubits in height thereof.
So on 20, that was like a square.
Right.
Perfect square. 20, yeah, all about, yeah. 20 cubits in length, breadth, and height. Perfect square. Read on.
And he overlaid it with pure gold, and so covered the altar, which was of cedar wood. Cedar.
So the altar was 20 cubits in length, breadth, and height, and overlaid with pure gold, and it was made of pure cedar. Read on.
Verse 21. So Solomon overlaid the house within with pure gold, and he made a partition by the chains of gold before the oracle, and he overlaid it with gold. And the whole house was overlaid with gold until he finished all the house.
Right. So cedar was on the line. What the Most High on the line of material that the Most High had used to build the oracle and so on in the temple. But it was overlaid with gold. That gold, it was, the frame of it was made of silver. It was made of cedar. Then the gold is like gold gold is solid. When you extract the gold from the earth, it's solid. But then it's like molten gold. You melt it, you become liquefied, and then it's like paint. You could just pour it. You could just pour it and just daub it all over the wood. And then when it's evenly distributed among the wood, and then when it's dry, it's like it's beautiful. Like it looks like it's solid gold all over. But on the line is cedar. It's very strong in a way. That's what it was. Read on.
Verse 23. And within the oracle he made 2 cherubims of olive tree, the 10 cubits, each 10 cubits high.
So the cherubims of olive tree. The cherubims are like like a design of angelic design. Cherubims. And within the oracle, he made 2 cherubims of olive tree, each 10 cubits high. Read on.
Verse 24. And 5 cubits was the one wing of the cherub.
5, yeah, read on.
And 5 cubits the other wing of the cherub. From the uttermost part of one wing unto the uttermost part of the other were 10 cubits.
Right. So that's like the width of the cherubim, the center, that in the middle of the cherubim, but the wingspan was like 5 cubits in one direction, and 5 cubits in the opposite or to the left, opposite direction, one to the right and one to the left. That's a wingspan, stretch out like that. God, that's what it was. You know.
25. And the other cherub was 10 cubits. Both in cherubims were of one measure and one size. And the height of the one cherub was 10 cubits. And so was it of the other cherub. And he set the cherubims within the inner house, and they stretched forth the wings of the cherubims, so that the wing of the one touched the one wall, and the wing of the other cherub touched the other wall, and their wings touched one another in the midst of the house. And he overlaid the cherubims with gold. Verse 29.
So even the cherubims were overlaid with gold. You know.
And he, verse 29, and he carved all the walls of the house round about with carved figures of cherubims and palm trees and open flowers within and without.
Right. So on the walls, they were like the carved and carved out. You know what I mean? Like carved out cherubims of so-called angels, angel designs on the walls round about. You could just imagine around this wall right there. You see, angels, design of angels all over the walls. Read on.
Verse 30. And the floor of the house he overlaid with gold, within and without.
On the floor of the house, you overlaid with gold within and without. Even the floor of the house. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, big up to David, man. You brought up
Solomon.
You brought up David. David defeated the other nations.
Okay.
You know, so that's how
Right.
Solomon was able to get that gold.
Right, because of David's militancy. The nation feared Israel and respected Israel and respected Solomon because of David. And you're right, and the Tyre and Zidon and all the cedar and came from Lebanon. Tyre and Zidon, which their habitat. Most of that cedar came from those territories. But even the floor was overlaid with gold, man. Yeah, read on.
Verse 31. And for the entering of the oracle,
no wonder there are those nations envied us like that, man. Read on.
Verse 31. And for the entering of the oracle, he made doors of olive tree. The lintel and side posts were a 5th part of the wall, and the doors also were of olive tree.
Verse
31.
32.
32. Verse 32. The 2 doors also were of olive tree. And he carved upon them carvings of cherubims and palm trees and open flowers, and overlaid them with gold, and spread gold upon the cherubims and upon the palm trees. So also made he for the door of the temple post of olive tree, a 4th part of the wall. And the 2 doors were of fir tree. The 2 leaves of the one door.
So most so also made he for the door of the temple post of olive tree. Olive is a very a nutritious plant. Olive oil, that's very nutritious also. And verse 34, and the two doors were of fir tree. Read on.
The two leaves of the one door were folding, and the two leaves of the other door were folding. He carved thereon cherubims and palm trees and open flowers, and carved them with gold, and covered them with gold fitted upon the carved work. And he built the inner court with 3 rows of hewed stone, and a row of cedar beams. And the 4th year was the foundation of the house of the Most High laid, in the month Ziph.
Right, in the 4th year. In the 4th year was the foundation of the house of the Most High built. What 4th year is that talking about? The 4th year of the reign of Solomon. Okay? The 4th year after he started reigning. After he got situated, got all things sorted out, and decided this is what I want to do. That's when he started building, that's when he built the temple of the Most High. Read on.
And in the 11th year, in the month Bull, which is the 8th month, was the house finished throughout all the parts thereof.
So he started in the 4th year and finished in the 11th year. So it took what? 7 years. Took 7 years for the completion of the house. See the Most High completion right there. 7 years. No, this 7 years is actually literal. It's not figurative. In the 4th year of his rulership, he started to build the house, and in the 11th year of his rulership, the house was completed. It was 7 years. It took 7 years to build the house of the temple of the Most High. Read on.
Verse 38. And in the 11th year, in the month Bull, which is the 8th month, was the house finished throughout all the parts thereof, and according to all the fashion of it.
What verse are you in?
38.
38?
Yeah, I never finished 38.
Read on. You go.
Verse 38. And in the 11th year, in the month Bull, which is the 8th month, was the house finished throughout all the parts thereof, and according to all the fashion of it. So was he 7 years in building it.
Right. So, how long did it take to build the house of the Most High, the temple of the Most High?
7 years.
7 years. When did it start?
In the 4th year.
The 4th year of Solomon's reign. And finished in the 11th year of his reign. Just 7 years in building. Got a question, huh?
Y'all let me ask, what month is Ziph?
The 2nd month.
Okay.
Tell them 1 Kings 6 and 1. It tells them the month of Ziph. It's the 2nd month.
You have time for one more chapter?
Yeah.
It's going to be a long chapter though.
I can speed read.
Yakina, Captain Yakina, what's the temperature out there? What's the weather like?
The weather. It's kind of sticky. Go ahead. Okay.
Okay.
1 Kings chapter 7 and verse 1. But Solomon was building his own house 13 years, and he finished all his house.
See that? Now Solomon, no, he had his priorities straightened out. He had his priorities straight. His priority was what? Build the Most High's house first. Right? He started building the Most High's house what? In the 4th year of his reign, finished in the 11th year of his reign. But his house wasn't completed yet. I guess it was moving from house to house, whatever. Read it again. Chapter 7, verse 1.
1 Kings chapter 7. But Solomon was building his own house 13 years, and he finished all his house.
Right. So it took him 13 years to build his house. Read on.
He built also the house of the forest of Lebanon. The length thereof was 100 cubits, and the breadth thereof 50 cubits, and the height thereof 30 cubits, upon 4 rows of cedar pillars, with cedar beams upon the pillars.
And he built also the house of the forest of Lebanon. Read on.
And it was covered with cedar upon the beams, that lay on 45 pillars, 15 in a row. And there were windows in 3 rows, and light was against light in 3 ranks. And all the doors and posts were square, with the windows, and light was against light in 3 ranks. And he made a porch of pillars. The length thereof was 50 cubits, and the breadth thereof 30 cubits. And the porch was before them, and the other pillars and the thick beam were before them. Then he made a porch for the throne where he might judge, even the porch of judgment. And it was covered with cedar from one side of the floor to the other. And his house where he dwelt had another court within the porch, which was of the like work. Solomon made also an house for Pharaoh's daughter, whom he had taken to wife, like unto this porch.
Now see, we know what Solomon built a temple for the Most High. We know what the Most High. Go back to Deuteronomy 7. See this, when you start compromising with the Most High's word, man. When you start doing what the other nations do, that's going to be a downfall. Because the Most High says specifically not to have your sons marry the daughters of the other nations, or not to give your daughters to the sons of the other nations. But the nations have this custom whereby they have political alliances where they would marry the daughters of the heathens and so on, and they would intermarry with the nations, with royalties of the other nations to form like political alliances. But all that was the ways of the world, the ways of the nations. And Israel fed into that, and Solomon did that. Solomon did that while he was building the temple of the Most High. While he was building the temple of the Most High and building his own house, he was also building a house for the daughter of Pharaoh. That's right there, it's like, a lot of contradiction right there. That's why we can understand what befell Solomon later on in his life. And for him to build a house for the daughter of Pharaoh, that meant that he had a respect for Pharaoh and held Pharaoh's daughter in high esteem. Pharaoh, the daughter of the king that held the people in captivity for 400 years. So you still have this respect for your slave master. You know what I'm saying? That's what Solomon was doing right there. Come on, read it again now.
1 Kings 7, chapter 7 and verse 8. And his house where he dwelt had another court within the porch, which was of the like work. Solomon made also an house for Pharaoh's daughter, whom he had taken to wife, like unto this porch.
Mm-hmm. Like unto his porch. Read on.
Verse 9. All these were of costly stones, according to the measures of hewed stones, sawed with saws, within and without, even from the foundation unto the copying, and so on the outside toward the great court. And the foundation was of costly stones, even great stones, stones of 10 cubits, and stones of 8 cubits. And above were costly stones, after the measure of hewed stones, and cedars. Verse 12. And the great court round about was with 3 rows of hewed stones, and a row of cedar beams, both for the inner court of the house of the Most High, and for the porch of the house. And King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of Tyre.
Right, it was Hiram. Hiram was what? King of Tyre. And King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of Tyre. Hiram was what? King of Tyre. Can you give me like a map, like an ancient map during the time of Solomon with Tyre and Zidon, so we can have an idea geographically of Israel location relative to those respective places, Tyre and Zidon. Okay, I see it right. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this one right here. See it? Right, this is Tyre right there. Tyre is to the northwest of Israel. Understand? Right. All right, go back. Read on.
Verse 13. And King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of Tyre. He was a widow's son of the tribe of Naphtali.
Well, order now. And King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of the Tyre. Hold on, let's put that in perspective. Hold on. He mentioned Naphtali. He was a widow's son of the tribe of Naphtali. So, who was Hiram? Let's go back and see let's see what Hiram was. Hold on. We're gonna go back to our previous chapters in the First Kings. I'm trying to find out who Hiram was, because right there it's saying that 55.
First Kings chapter 5 and verse 1. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his servants unto Solomon, for he had heard that they had anointed him king in the room of his father.
Right. So hold on. Hold on.
It's a little bit more on it, but I guess they were friends. Yeah, wait.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Give my page there. Where are we, Kings? First chapter. No, 7. What's it? 7 or what? 7? 7.
And 13. 13.
Okay, we'll go back to 5 and 1.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his servants unto Solomon. Okay. So Hiram was king of Tyre, while Solomon was king of Israel. Okay, great.
Okay.
Now go back to 1 Kings 7, 13.
1 Kings chapter 7 and verse 13. And King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of Tyre.
So Hiram was king of Tyre. Read on.
He was a widow's son of the tribe of Naphtali.
He was a widow's son of the tribe of Naphtali. So we can see right away that Israel were kind of spreading their wings. Understand? So Hiram was an Israelite who was a king of another nation during Solomon's reign. That's what they're saying right here. Hiram was an Israelite. Don't forget that this is 480 years after Israel came out of Egypt. So during that 480 years, Israel was making moves. David was going all over the place with, colonizing all these different territories. And Israel was setting up, residences and garrisons in those different territories. Understand? So even to the north, because on the map we saw that Tyre was to the northwest of Israel. So all these lands were some of these lands rather that were in the vicinity of Israel were under our control from during the time of David. So Hiram, you see that Tyre was just north of Israel, northwest of Israel, in Lebanon. Yeah, Tyre and Zidon. We were ruling those places. Because David had subdued all those places. All those places were being colonized by Israel. You read right here that he had but they knew who they were. Go ahead,
When you keep reading further along in the book of Kings, it tells you that Solomon gave Hiram cities.
We gotta see that. Yeah, because even though they were ruling, they were basically reporting to Israel. You know what I'm saying? That's why it says that Solomon said that fetch him. Right. That word is kind of demeaning. You know what I'm saying? If we look into it, he said that fetch him. Yeah, tell him to come here. You can't say that fetch somebody unless you got some kind of authority over them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Unless they're reporting to you. Yeah, I'm just fetching. Go and fetch him. Yeah, come here, yeah. That means when Solomon calls, you gotta come. That's how you know who's dominating. I'll read on.
Verse 14. He was a widowed son of the tribe of Naphtali, and his father was a man of Tyre.
Hold on. But his father was a man of Tyre. So maybe his father, maybe he wasn't an Israelite. Maybe his mother was an Israelite.
All right.
But his father was a man of Tyre, but he was ruling. But they were still under our governance in the time of Solomon's reign. Read on.
A worker in brass, and he was filled with wisdom and understanding and cunning to work all works in brass. And he came to King Solomon and wrought all his work. 15. For he cast 2 pillars of brass of 18 cubits high apiece, and a line of 12 cubits did compass either of them about. And he made 2 chapters of molten brass to set upon top of the pillars. The height of one chapiter was 5 cubits, and the height of the other chapiter was 5 cubits. And nets of checker work, and wreaths of chain work, and for the chapiters which were upon the top of the pillars, 7 for the one chapiter, and 7 for the other chapiter. And he made the pillars and 2 rows round about upon the one network, and covered the chapiters that were upon the top with pomegranates. And so did he for the other chapiter. And the chapiters that were upon the top of the pillars were of lily work in the porch 4 cubits. And the chapiters upon the 2 pillars had pomegranates also above, over against the belly, which was by the network. And the pomegranates were 200 in rows round about upon the one chapiter. Verse 21. And he set up the pillars in the porch of the temple, And he set up the right pillar, and he called the name thereof Jachin. And he set up the left pillar, and he called the name thereof Boaz. And upon the top of the pillars was lily work. So was the work of the pillars finished. Verse 23. And he made a molten sea.
He made a molten sea. A molten sea. It's like you know,
Molten sea.
a molten of gold or silver or whatever. That's like it's just flowing. This ornament is flowing. This liquid is flowing now. You got remember that some of these buildings the floor was made of wood, but then they were overlaid with gold or even over silver or the precious metals, which got melted and just flowed like cemented floor, like today we have cemented floor. You just moving mortar, just mortar all over the floor like that. That's our, you know. But it was more liquefied though back in that time. The floor was overlaid with gold, the sea like you know, in whatever building. That's how it was. According to what I read and writing. And they made a molten sea. Here we are.
Verse 23. And he made a molten sea, 10 cubits from the one brim to the other. It was round all about, and his height was 5 cubits. And a line of 30 cubits did compass it round about. And under the brim of it round about there were knobs compassing it, 10 in a cubit, compassing the sea round about. The knobs were cast in 2 rows. When it was cast, it stood upon 12 oxen, 3 looking toward the north.
Hold on, let's read verse 24 again.
Verse 20.
Let's try and visualize this.
1 Kings 7 and 24. And under the brim of it round about, the knobs compassing it, 10 in a cubit, compassing the sea round about. The knobs were cast in 2 rows when it was cast. It stood upon 12 oxen.
I said knobs compassing it, 10 in the cubit, compassing the sea round about. The knobs were cast in 2 rows when it was cast. Read on.
Verse 25. It stood upon 12 oxen, 3 looking toward the north, and 3 looking toward the west, and 3 looking toward the south, and 3 looking toward the east. And the sea was set above them, and all their hinder parts were inward, and it was 100 breadth thick, and the brim thereof was wrought like the brim of a cup. With flowers of lilies it contained 2,000 baths. And he made 10 basins of brass. 4 cubits was the length of one base, and 4 cubits the breadth thereof, and 3 cubits the height of it. And the work of the bases was on this manner. They had borders, and the borders were between the ledges. And on the borders that were between the ledges were lions, oxen, and cherubims. And upon the ledges there was a base above. And beneath the lions and oxen were certain additions made of thin work. And every base had 4 brassen wheels, and plates of brass, and the 4 corners thereof had undersetters. Under the laver were undersetters molten at the side of every addition. And the mouth of it within the chapiters and above was a cubit, but the month thereof was round after the work of the base, a cubit and a half. And also upon the mouth of it were gravings with their borders 4 square, not round. Verse 32. And under the borders were 4 wheels, and the axle trees of the wheels were joined to the base. And the height of a wheel was a cubit and a half, a cubit. And the work of the wheels was like the work of a chariot wheel. their axle tree, and their naves, and their felios, and their spokes were all molten. And there were 4 interceptors to the 4 corners of one base, and the undersetters were of the very base itself. And in the top of the base was there a round compass of half a cubit height, and on top of the base the ledges thereof and the borders thereof were of the same. For on the plates of the ledges thereof and on the borders thereof he gave cherubims, lions, and palm trees, according to the proportion of every one, and additions round about. After this manner he made the 10 basins, and of them had one casting. Verse 37?
Yeah,
Verse 37. After this manner he made the 10 basins. All of them had one casting, one measure, and one size. Then made 10 lavers of brass. One laver contained 40 baths, and every laver was 4 cubits, and upon every one of the 10 basins 1 laver. And he put 5 bases on the right side of the house, and 5 basins on the left side of the house. And he set the sea on the right side of the house, eastward, over against the south. And Hiram made the lavers, and he showed and the shovels and the basins. So Hiram made the end of doing all the work that he had made King Solomon for the house of the Most High. The 2 pillars and the 2 bowls of the capiters that were on top of the 2 pillars. So like it. That were on the top of the 2 pillars, and the 2 networks to cover the 2 boughs of the chapiters, which were upon the top of the pillars, and 400 pomegranates for the 2 networks, even 2 rows of pomegranates for one network to cover the 2 bowls of the chapiters that were upon the pillars, and the 10 basins and 10 lavers on the basins, and 1 sea, and 12 oxen under the sea, and the pots and the shovels and the basins and all the vessels which Hiram made to King Solomon for the house of the Most High were of bright brass. In the plain of Jordan did the king cast them, and in the clay ground between Succoth and Zarthan. And Solomon left all the vessels unweighed, because there were exceeding many, neither was the height of the brass found out. Verse 48. And Solomon made all the vessels that pertain unto the house of the Most High, the altar of gold, and the table of gold, whereupon the showbread was, and the candlesticks of pure gold, 5 on the right side and 5 on the left side, before the oracle, which with the flowers and lamps, and the tongues of gold, and the bowls, and the snuffers, and the basins, and the spoons, and the censers of pure gold, and the hinges of gold, both of the doors of the inner house, and the most holy place, and for the doors of the house, to wit, of the temple. So was ended all the work that King Solomon made for the house of the Lord, of the Most High. And Solomon brought in the things which David his father had dedicated, even the silver and the gold, and the vessels did he put among the treasures of the house of the Most High.
Right. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask, because every time I read this, first thing come up to mind, you never see where the Most High gives Solomon a vision, but it seems like it's everything that the Most High wanted the house to be, but I just never really see where it says.
When David wanted get 2 Samuel 7:6. David wanted to build a house to the Most High. Understand? But the Most High didn't want David to build a house, because David was a man of war, which the Most High was the one who trained David's hands to war. Because Israel had enemies running about. coming out of the wilderness, we have to establish ourselves and subdue our enemies, because the Most High gave us a commandment anyway to destroy all those nations who are before us. And Saul didn't want to do it to the extent that the Most High wanted him to. So David had to pick up the slack. But David wanted to build a house to the Most High. The Most High said, nah, no, you ain't going to do it. Because you have so much blood in your hand. But your son, Solomon, after you, he's going to build my house. So if the Most High had purposed Solomon to build a house, of course the Most High, remember Solomon asked the Most High asked Solomon, what do you want? Solomon said, I want wisdom. I want you to give me the insight and wisdom of to rule and govern this great people, Israel. And the Most High said, because you didn't ask for long life, you didn't ask for the life of your enemies, I'm going to give you wisdom. And in addition to the wisdom, I'm going to give you riches. So that's why you see all these even the floor being overlaid with gold. Even everything being built to such specification, because the Most High gave Solomon the insight and respective measurements and all that as how to build a house. When he went and fetched Hiram, king of Tyre, passing on all that information to Ira to cut the stones and the woods and all that to certain measurements. So when they brought from Lebanon to Israel, everything fit in accordance to how the Most High told Solomon that they should fit. 2 Samuel 7:6.
This is the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 7 and verse 6. Whereas I have not dwelt in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt.
Right, who said? The Most High said that? Whereas he had dwelt in a house since he brought out because what? While we were in the wilderness, we were on the move. We were constantly on the move. That's why we dwelt. That's why we dwelt in booths, right? And we had a pillar of fire by night and a cloud by day to guide us. It was a Mashiach Yahushua guiding us on our sojournment from Egypt into land of Israel. So we dwelt in booths, which were what? Temporary housing structures. So read it again. 2 Samuel 7:6.
2 Samuel chapter 7 and verse 6. Whereas I have not dwelt in any house since the time that I have brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt.
Right. The Moses said he hadn't dwelt in a house since the time he brought up the children of Israel from out of the land of Egypt. Read on.
Even to this day.
Even to this day.
But have walked in a tent and in a tabernacle.
Yeah, walked in tent and tabernacle, which tabernacle was what? That's why we keep what? The Feast of Tabernacles. That's why we go to the park. That time to as a commemoration of how we dwelt coming out of Egypt. Read on.
Verse 7. In all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel.
In all the places, plural. Read on.
Spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, whom I have commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, why build ye not me in house of cedar?
Right. So right. Why build ye not me a house of cedar? Read on.
Now, therefore, so shalt thou say unto my servant David, thus saith the Most High of hosts, I took thee from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel. And I was with thee whithersoever thou wentest, and have cut off all thy enemies out of thy sight, and have made thee a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and I will plant them that they may dwell in a place of their own.
Right. So the Moses said what? I took you from being a shepherd boy and appointed you to be ruler over Israel. And I've appointed my people Israel to a special place where they're gonna inhabit and dwell as their own. Read on.
Please, one minute still in 9 or 10. In 10? Verse 10. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more, as before time.
Right.
And as since the time that I commanded judges to be over Israel, to be over my people Israel, and have caused thee to rest from all thy enemies. Also the Most High telleth thee that he will make thee an house. And when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee.
Right, so this is Most High talking to David. When your days be fulfilled, mean what? When it's when you know, it's time for you to die. Read on.
And verse 12. And when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers,
you shall die and sleep with your fathers. Read on.
I will set up thy seed after thee.
I will set up your seed after you, your child, your son after you. Read on.
Which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build an house for my name.
Right, see that the Most High, he shall build a house for my name. Not you, David, but your son, your seed after you shall proceed after your bowels. From your loins, your descendant, your seed. He shall build a house for my name, which is Solomon. Read on.
And I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever.
Right. So that's why I said right there. The Most High designated Solomon to be the one to build the house, the tabernacle, not David. And of course, if the Most High chose Solomon to build a house, of course he's going to give Solomon the wisdom, you know, on how to build a house. You know what, like the dimensions, the measurements, and the specifications as to how the house should be built. That's why in the chapter we just read in chapter 7, yeah, we just read about the measurements that Solomon that gave to King Hiram as to how to cut the cedars and all that. I understand. So we're gonna close it right there. Most High willing, we're gonna continue in chapter 8. And listen, we're gonna go by chapter 8 now. That's a long chapter. As you can see, flip over. So Solomon sent to fetch Hiram, king of Tyre, and Tyre measured all the measurements to fit on the design of the temple that the Most High gave to Solomon. Okay, so we're gonna finish right there for tonight. The Most High when we continue on chapter 8 next week. So 8, 9. Maybe we can do 3 chapters next week. The Most High willing. So does anyone have any question? Captain Yakinan? When I set up a Q&A, see if anyone has any question online, so we can go over for a few minutes. Can Shalom Yasharala by Shamash Kawashai to water. Anyone logging in, listen to us on live. We have a number that on the screen, 954-289-4483. If anyone has any question, feel free to throw your question and by Shamash Kawashai will give an answer for the more side to water. Number again, 954-289-4483. Kwame Yasharala. Oh wait, there's actually a question. There's actually some question there. So you can have it for later. What does it say? Why does it say his father was a man of Tyre? Okay. Let's go back to that. Let's go. Why does it say that his father was a man of Tyre? Okay. That was Let's gonna go back to that verse, chapter and verse, where it says his mother was a woman of Naphtali. No, that wasn't that far back.
Elder,
Hmm?
the scripture is talking about 2 Chronicles 2:14.
Oh, Second Chronicles. Okay. Okay, hold on.
Kahaan, and the son of the woman of the daughters of Dan, and his father was a man
Second Chronicles
skillful
2:14.
to working. Yes. Ernest idea.
Start from go to 2 Tyre 2 verse. Let's start from verse 11 so we can know exactly what he's talking about.
2 Chronicles chapter 2 and verse 11.
Let me see his name. His name is spelled.
Huram.
Yeah, spelled differently.
Huram.
Hiram is Hiram. Same guy. Hiram. Yeah.
2 Chronicles chapter 2 and verse 11. Then Huram, the king of Tyre, answered in writing, which he sent to Solomon, because the Most High had loved his people. He hath made thee king over them. Hiram said, moreover, blessed be the Most High power of Israel, that made heaven and earth, who hath given to David the king a wise son, endued with prudence and understanding, that might build an house for the Most High, and an house for his kingdom. Verse 13. And now I have sent a cunning man, endued with understanding, of Huram my fathers.
Wait a minute. And now I have sent a man. And now I've sent a cunning man, endued with understanding, of Huram my fathers. You know.
Verse 14. The son of a woman of the daughter of Dan.
Right. The son of the woman of the daughter of Dan. So that's why that's what Hiram is saying. Is that Hiram describing himself? And now I have sent a cunning man, endued with understanding of Hiram my fathers. The son. We're on verse 14.
The son of a woman of the daughters of Dan. And his father was a man of Tyre, skillful to work in gold and in silver, in brass and iron and stone, and in timber, in purple and blue, and in fine linen, and in crimson, also to grave any manner of gravings, and to find out every device which shall be put to him, with thy cunning men, and with the cunning men of my other one, David, thy father.
So no, right there, Hiram wasn't talking about himself. Hiram wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about another person who was of the daughters of Dan. Because hold this and get right here, the person that Hiram is talking about is another person. Who was of the daughter of the daughter of Dan, and his father was a man of Tyre. So the men of Tyre had this person that Hiram is talking about was a man of Tyre whose mother was a Danite. Understand? So that's who he was. He wasn't talking about himself, because go back to 1 Kings, where Hiram was talking about himself, where his mother was a woman of Naphtali. And so Hiram were already in Chronicles. Hiram was talking about someone who's going to send to assist Solomon's servants in building the temple. A man was Israelite roots by his mother's side, but he was his father was a man of Tyre, okay, whose mother was a Danite. We said that's what that's talking about. You got a scripture? We said Solomon's Hiram was a yeah, read it. 1 Kings 7:14.
1 Kings chapter 7 and verse 14. He was a widow's son.
So that's just, we talk. Start from verse 13.
Verse 13. 1 Kings chapter 7 and verse 13. And King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of Tyre.
Right, so Solomon sent to fetch Hiram out of Tyre. Read on.
Verse 14. He was a widow's son of
Hiram was a widow's son. Read on.
Of the tribe of Naphtali.
So his widow's son. So the widow is a woman, of course, whose husband passed, right? And this woman was of the tribe of Naphtali. So Hiram's mother was a Naphthalite. Understand? Read on.
He was a widow's son of the tribe of Naphtali, and his father was a man of Tyre.
Right. So and his father was a man of Tyre. So Hiram was not an Israelite. His mother was, but of course he had ties by his mother's side to Israel. But the person in the 2 Chronicles that was being referenced was another man of Tyre whose mother was a Danite. Okay, go ahead on.
I read both of those accounts in 2 Chronicles. It's like it's a retelling of the book of Chronicles is a retelling of the book of Kings, and both of those scriptures they be talking about the same person from two different perspectives. Because it says one, it says that his mother from the tribe of Dan, and then another says that his mother's from the
Naphtali.
maybe him from the tribe of Naphtali.
No. Let's go back to Chronicles. We can see right in Kings that we're talking about in 1 Kings 7 verse 13 and 14. It's talking about Hiram himself. That's plain. That's straightforward. That's more obvious. That's plain and simple. Yeah. So now let's go back to Chronicles. Chronicles may require a bit more deciphering to see exactly who's referencing. Is we talking about Hiram himself or somebody that Hiram was sending to assist Solomon's servant. So read Chronicles again.
Where, 2 Chronicles or first?
2 Chronicles 2 verse what? 13.
2 Chronicles 2 and 13.
Let's start further up.
At 11.
Start from verse 10.
Verse 10?
Yeah.
Fine. 2 Chronicles chapter 2 and verse 10. And behold,
here I'm talking.
I will give to thy servants.
I will give to thy servants
the hewers that cut timber, 20,000 measures of beaten wheat and 20,000 measures of barley.
So he's saying he's got to give to him hewers that made them cut down timbers on the woods.
I thought there was payment. He was giving them raiment to make the What
is for free or it's an arrangement or whatever? those Hiram is providing those men to Solomon, whether it's for free for tribute or whether it's an arrangement.
Right.
I mean, those men were being provided to Solomon to assist in the building of the temple, because the men of Hiram were skilled in that regard, and Israel, because the men of Hiram, they were already established in their territories.
Right.
So they so they had those skills. We now, on the other hand, we even though we were there for 480 years, we were still relatively speaking a young nation, because we didn't even have our own place of worship yet, a permanent place of worship yet. So we were still in transition as far as establishing ourselves permanently. So go back to 2 Chronicles 2 verse 10.
2 and 10. And behold, I will give to thy servants, the hewers that cut timber, 20,000 measures of beaten wheat, and 20,000 measures of barley, and 20,000 baths of wine, and 20,000 baths of oil.
Well, so Hiram was saying, I'm going to send certain men to you, and plus I'm going to send all this produce, wheat, barley, wine, and all that. Read on.
Then Hiram, the king of Tyre, answered in writing, which he sent to Solomon. I think that's what Solomon was telling Hiram.
That he was going to send to him?
Yes.
Okay. Send me also cedar trees, fir trees. Okay.
That was like the payment.
So Solomon was telling him that he's going to send. Okay, right. All right. Solomon was telling Hiram he was going to send those men to him, to Hiram. Okay. For payment. All right. For payment for exactly. Right. You're right. You're correct. Solomon was telling Hiram he's going to send those men to him to assist in cutting down the trees. Right. Okay. Then verse 11, Hiram said, Hiram was responding to Solomon's. Read on. Then Hiram, the king of Tyre, answered in writing.
Right.
Right. Read on.
Which he sent to Solomon, because the Most High has loved his people and have made thee king over them. Hiram said, moreover, blessed be the Lord, power of Israel, that made heaven and earth, who hath given to David the king a wise son, and do with prudence and understanding, that might build an house for the Most High, and an house for his kingdom. And now I have sent a cunning man, and do with understanding of Hiram, my fathers. Right, see that? Now Hiram said, and now I have sent a cunning man. Hiram is saying that to Solomon, I am sending you a cunning man. So this man that we're about to be described is not Hiram. It's a man that Hiram is sending to Solomon to assist in the building of the temple. You understand that? Right. And now I have sent a cunning man, endued with understanding, of Hiram is my father. So it was so this man was got the understanding from his own father, Hiram's father. Understand? So the man that's about to be described is not Hiram. It's a man that Hiram is about to send to Solomon to help in the building of the temple. Khan? Read on. Verse 14. The son of a woman of the daughters of Dan.
So of course he's gonna try and send men who have roots in Israel, who have ties to Israel, who are familiar with the people of Israel and the culture and all that, so they can relate. You know what I'm saying? He's not gonna send somebody who knew absolutely nothing about Israel. He's gonna send somebody who has ties to Israel, so they could gel better. And the son of a woman of daughters of Dan. So this person that Hiram was going to send was a person whose mother was a Danite. Understand? Not to be confused with the person we read in 1 Kings 7:13, whose mother was a Naphthalite. Understand? Two different people right here. Read on.
And his father was a man of Tyre.
Yeah, both their father was a man of Tyre, but they had different mothers, so two different people. Read on.
skillful to do work in gold and in silver, in brass, in iron, in stone, and in timber, in purple, and blue, and in fine linen, and in crimson, also to grave any manner of graving.
Right, so you see, we can see right there, it's two different people. And let me see what else. You know, the question that you said is for the words of Tyre. Okay. Call in Israel if you have any questions. Shabbat if you're none. Oh, praise the Priest Kahaan. Nothing. His father's friend. I was talking about Aram's father.
Shabbat Shalom, Priest Kahaan.
Okay, that's the only question we got, so.
Okay.
We're gonna say, to what Yashua about Shamash Kawashai, to what if you're logging in, and conference calls and all that. Don't forget tomorrow, the Most High willing. 11 o'clock, we have a Hebrew class, 12 noon. Then we have the continuation of the Sabbath service by Chief Minister Shalamah. And after that, of course, if weather permits, then we go out and do it on the street teaching about Shamash Kawashai. The word Yashua about Shamash Kawashai once again. So we're gonna close out to the service. Let's go to Psalms 133. And Madi Mwapanya Yerushalayim, stand and face Jerusalem. Psalms 133. Shayar, Hama Alwa, Ladawar, Hana, Ma, Tawab, Wama, Naayam, Shabbat, Akyam, Gam, Yakad, Kashaman, Atawab, Ail, Araash, Yarad, Ail, Azakwan, Zakwan, Haaran, Shayarad, Ail, Paya, Badawat Yawa, Patal, Ramwan, Shayarad, Ail, Araria, Tazayawan, Paya, Sham, Tazawa, Yahawa, Abaraka, Kayawam, Aid, Iwalam, Ba'asham, Amashayat, Yahawashai, Tawara, Aman.
Psalms 133. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments, as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Most High commanded the blessings, even life, forevermore. Bahashem, Amashiach Yahawashai, through water, through yad, man.